You're hearing a mysterious moan that has puzzled travelers for centuries. Listen to what scientists call booming sand. This sound is generated high up these sandy peaks, among the tallest dunes in all of North America. Straight ahead, we'll explore this natural phenomenon and what else makes this isolated island of sand so remarkable. Plus, bustling San Francisco.
These are really nice track homes.
Yeah, these are cookie cutter home Victorians, 1898.
It's among the most successful microbreweries in U.S. history.
Popular seller?
It is.
We get behind the bar, find out its winning secrets, and speak with the company's founder about her groundbreaking move.
You know, it's a big business, and you have to think big. And I'm a megalomaniac, you know?
Lots of popular burger chains get their start right here in California. And there's a new one comes with a full bar. This town, founded on the gold rush, but now known more for its gold medal wines.
Like Napa Sonoma was 35 years ago.
And that's just the beginning. We'll also explore a historic portion of Highway 101 that floats, crunchy French toast,
Delicious.
and a busy little sausage factory. All these places tied together with one compass word, and this week it's Eureka, our state motto, and obviously so much more. It's a lot to cover, so let's get started as we eat, drink, and explore our way through your California.
Our first segment today is the tale of two valleys, two Eureka valleys.
One, geographically in the center of San Francisco with its ornate architecture, nightlife, and foodie scene. The other is just west of the Nevada border in an unforgiving desert climate. This is Eastern California's Eureka Valley.
Let's start there, right there at the Eureka Dunes.
A trip to the dunes means hours on rough, rocky roads getting to and back from this northern portion of Death Valley National Park, where temperatures, as you know, can top well above 100 degrees for days on end. There are no services anywhere to be seen, and cell phone reception is spotty to, well, non-existent.
Water, having maps, no.
We were lucky on our recent visit as the mercury only hit the mid-90s, but even then, shade is sparse and the air is so dry, constant rehydration is necessary.
Death Valley earned its name. It's not as forgiving as some other places.
In fact, park ranger Terry Baldino says preparing for these extreme conditions is simply a matter of life or death.
Because we definitely want folks to come see and experience the national parks that belong to everyone. But we want to make sure that they also go home safe and can tell their friends.
Despite the dunes' remote and harsh environment, they remain a huge draw for a number of reasons, including their singing sands. That low hum you hear, recorded with professional equipment by the Caltech booming team, but absolutely audible to the naked ear, is being generated within the dunes themselves. The sands begin to sing when an avalanche is created along a steep, hot, dry slope. You can create your own booming sound, as we attempted to do here, but without success.
Nothing, except a bunch of sand up my pants.
However, when we switched to the hotter, drier side, it did work, only our equipment wasn't able to pick up the sound, so thanks again to the Caltech crew for the example you're now listening to. Scientists believe when surface sand moves down the face, dry, hot grains underneath are agitated, creating sound waves. These are then bounced off a deeper and more dense, wet layer, amplifying the sound. The phenomenon can last long past the initial slide. The shape of these dunes aid in the sound production too. They are tall and steep. In fact, at nearly 700 feet, they are the tallest in California and nearly the tallest in North America. Over the past 10,000 years or so, strong desert winds have gradually carried sand particles down the Eureka Valley, where they then get trapped at the base of the Last Chance Range. Here, with nowhere to go but up, they accumulate into the dunes we see today. An island covering about 3 square miles and home to several unique species of both plants and animals endemic to the area, which means
this is the only place they're found anywhere else in the world. So that makes it unique.
Some of them, though, are listed as endangered. There are so few of them, there is the possibility that we could lose this species if we don't watch out for them.
And we're talking about the evening primrose that we have an example of down here?
Eureka Dunes evening primrose, which is this species here. And in the springtime, when there's sufficient rains, it does have a beautiful white flower.
Another endemic and endangered plant is the Eureka dune grass, where daily survival depends on an evolved root system.
That not only can it help keep the plant growing if it should get buried by moving sand, but allows it to also spread and collect moisture from a broad area as opposed to an independent source.
This is the sport of sandboarding, being done legally in a controlled area in this video, but unauthorized sandboarding is currently a top threat to the endangered plants at the dunes, primarily because the root systems can get heavily damaged. One more plant and 5 species of beetle round out the list of living things found here and only here in eastern California's Eureka Valley. Now to San Francisco's Eureka Valley, or as it has become commonly known in more recent years, the Castro.
In the 1880s, this was the boondocks. This was, the equivalent now, I would probably say, of living out in Tracy, which is about 45 miles away.
While the area's early beginnings were relatively rural and undeveloped compared to San Francisco's booming downtown core at the time, this neighborhood is hardly in the boondocks anymore. It is instead a focal point for tourists, foodies, and those who enjoy its world-famous gay nightlife scene. But its history is not forgotten. Alan Beach is president of the Neighborhood Association and was kind enough to give us a tour of some highlights that go unnoticed by many visitors, and maybe even a local or two, like how nearby Twin Peaks determined the Eureka Valley name.
In 1846, Jose Noe purchased this large tract of land, and he named the 2 peaks here, the southern one Noe, representing Noe Valley, and the northern peak Eureka, and that represents Eureka Valley, which spreads down all the way down to Dolores Street. 22nd Street, where we're standing right now, 22nd and Eureka, is the dividing line between the 2 valleys. And actually his home was located somewhere around here.
Just a few blocks over, we learn an interesting bit about tract housing and how early forms of it in San Francisco were far from what we imagine today.
So these are all Victorians, right?
Yes, these are Victorians. They were built by Fernando Nelson, who actually is one of the first tract home developers in the country. The millwork was done off-site, and then he built them here, and every house is actually exactly the same.
These are really nice tract homes.
Yeah, they're really nice tract homes. It's kind of funny. You think of tract homes as suburbia, kind of cookie cutter homes. These are cookie cutter home Victorians.
Late 1800s.
1898.
Many a vehicle has passed this initial curve as the city's famous Market Street begins to climb over Twin Peaks, where a landmark pink house holds the distinction of being the neighborhood's oldest still standing home.
It gets its pink hue from Polly Mosby, who actually lived in the house for 50 years, and when she and her husband visited Greece, they visited a village where all the buildings were painted a pale pink. When she came home, she demanded that it be painted a pale pink against her husband's wishes, but she got her way, and it's been pink ever since.
Sticking with our compass word, we grabbed a drink with a bite at, where else, but the Eureka Restaurant and Lounge just off of 18th and Castro, right in the heart of the neighborhood.
Thank you, JJ. Look at that.
You're welcome.
Good steak and comfort menu here, including this pot roast paired nicely with a sidecar cocktail, which had its own sidecar, we might add. A nice way to close out our look at the city of San Francisco's Eureka Valley. Now, just to the south of San Francisco, nestled against the Santa Cruz Mountains, that's where meat lovers flock to the Corralitos Market and Sausage Company. It sits at the base of Eureka Canyon Road. For more than 40 years, the owners have been smoking their specialty meats with apple wood from the surrounding valley, all naturally. If you can't make it there to Corralitos, look for their specialty products at local farmers markets in the surrounding counties, or they ship it too. Okay, time now to test how well you know your California. The Greek word Eureka is the motto on our state seal, but there was an attempt to replace it with which of the following? In God We Trust. The English translation, I found it, un futuro dorado. a golden future in Spanish? The answer later this half hour, but just ahead,
No woman had ever started a brewery before.
we head north to the Lost Coast for brewing history unfolding every day. Plus, before the Bay Area had its iconic bridges, a stretch of Highway 101 was on board this vessel. You're watching the Eureka edition of our program. Stick around as we eat, drink, explore our way through your California. Welcome back to the Your California Show, Eureka edition. We are here at San Francisco Maritime National Historic Park. You see the Highway 101 sign behind me there, and the Eureka Ferry. It is a historic ferry built back in the 1800s, and it actually used to serve as a small segment of Highway 101. In 1958, the Eureka found its current tourist home on the Hyde Street Pier, but for the better part of the early 20th century, she shuttled passengers, vehicles, and freight across the Golden Gate. And nowadays, you can board the Eureka for a peek back in time. Originally called the Ukiah, during World War I, the ferry was renamed by its owner, Northwestern Pacific Railroad, in honor of the city of Eureka, which was also the railroad's northernmost station, and just happens to be the location of our next focus. Welcome to the Humboldt Nation, home to towering coastal redwoods, rugged landscapes, and a taste for handcrafted ales. Locally made, of course.
Eureka's Lost Coast Brewery is one of the most successful microbreweries in California history. It's been in this building since 1990. Since then, they've opened up a brewery down the street that we'll show you in just a little bit. But the restaurant is still doing very well.
Just about any time of day, you'll find a busy hum inside the cafe portion of the Lost Coast operation. Seeing as I actually helped manage this restaurant back in 1995 as a broadcast journalism student at nearby Humboldt State, they let me get back behind the bar for old time's sake.
Pale ale. Pale ale? Okay, so which one's pale ale?
Pale ale.
Popular seller?
It is. It's a great California pale ale.
Awesome. There you go, sir.
Brett's probably going to want one too.
I'll take the same.
All right, now I'm not going to stop working, right?
Lost Coast has grown to be one of California's 10 largest brewers and distributes to nearly half the U.S. since the addition of this brewing facility in 2005, less than a mile from the original cafe.
This is our warehouse.
Barbara Groom was one of the 2 women who founded the company at a time when owning a brewery was a male-exclusive club.
When we started, no woman had ever started a brewery before.
That was it. You were the groundbreakers.
Right.
Why do you think there's such a vacuum when it comes to women owning breweries?
I'm not really sure. I always wondered that myself. But I think, it's a big business, and you have to think big. Right. And I'm a megalomaniac, If I don't want to do anything small, I want to do it big,
And it's that exact mindset that has guided the brewery's growth over the past 30-plus years.
Yeah, when we started out with 10-barrel tanks, and when we moved over here, we got a 60-barrel tank, and we thought, boy, we are big now.
And now look, right?
These are 180, and outside we have 300-barrel tanks.
And they're just all going all the time?
All the time. We 24/7, well, 24/5 right now, but we're going to start brewing on the weekends also.
Really? Do you ever think of taking your Lost Coast Brewery and opening a facility more centrally located to distribution?
Well, I'd love to do that, but my crew wouldn't move, and I love Humboldt County. It's the greatest place in the world to live. I've lived a lot of places, but I love it here.
The current plans call for expanding the brewery within Eureka even further, just south of the current location. Okay, coming up just after the break, we'll take you to an expanding gourmet burger chain where the ingredients for the restaurant and the bar are sourced locally. Also, a cafe in one LA neighborhood is supplying more than just great food.
It's become a real gathering place, and we are so appreciative of it.
You're watching the Your California Show with Eureka as our compass word. More places to explore straight ahead.
Welcome back to the Your California Show, where each week we eat, drink, and explore our way through California based on one compass word. And this week it is Eureka. So far, we've toured the Eureka Sand Dunes near the Nevada border, got an architectural tour of San Francisco's Eureka Valley, visited one of California's top breweries based in the city of Eureka, and quickly checked out a historic ferry, also a sausage factory at the base of Eureka Canyon Road near Santa Cruz. Now we're off to explore a gourmet burger chain based here in the southern half of the state. in the Inland Empire college town of Claremont.
Order in.
Another burger with toppings piled high, in high demand at this Eureka Burger restaurant, where we're told fresh California-raised beef is the main ingredient.
Yes, we get our meat in fresh, and the whole theme of Eureka is handcrafted. So we portion our burgers fresh. We actually hand press them, and we're doing them every day. Every day is a fresh burger. So you can get a rare burger and not worry about being sick.
We put the theory to the test, sped up here for time's sake, and paired it with one of the restaurant's many craft beers on tap. In fact, the source locally kitchen rule extends to the bar's specialties as well.
I live upstairs, actually, so Sunday morning's my day off. I tool out of the house, go up to the farmer's market, and I literally will walk around until I just get inspired. This week was fresh strawberries, organic honey, fresh ginger, and lemons. I made a lemonade base out of that with fresh mint that I ground into it, and then we added a Tito's vodka to that. I made a huge batch of that, and it lasted about 4 hours. So I had to go back, and I got cherries, and then we did a fresh cherry martini, which is just really tart cherries muddled with a little bit of a bitters, some simple syrup, and vodka. I think everything we do is really just authentic. It's the way to do it.
We were at the Claremont location, but the original Eureka Burger is in Redlands, just off of Eureka Street, hence the name and our visit. The small chain is expanding. You can also find the restaurant in Fresno and 2 new locations in Bakersfield and San Luis Obispo. Fresh local burgers, just the way we like them. Okay, follow the 10 freeway towards Santa Monica from Claremont, and when you hit the Crenshaw exit, pull off for a real neighborhood treat. You'll find the Eureka Cafe on West Washington Boulevard. This is in the Arlington Heights neighborhood, just west of downtown LA. The Eureka name, we're told, is not connected to anything special. It was just a suggested name the owners liked, so they went with it. No matter what it's called, the community is buzzing about this busy family-run cafe, bar, and grill as a much-needed addition to the area.
Oh my God, it's delicious. On top of being like a great place to hang out, it's delicious as well.
Diane Lawrence is the publisher of a local paper called The Neighborhood News and is a big fan of the cafe's community atmosphere.
We really needed a place where we could all come and kind of see each other and meet new friends, meet new neighbors, and see old neighbors and friends. So it's become a real gathering place, and we are so appreciative of it.
We found the restaurant to have great coffee, French toast, and a specialty omelet, all well worth ordering a second time. We were also happy to see the place is dog-friendly and found it to be full of locals, a big plus in our book. The Eureka Cafe, a great place to start your day in Los Angeles. Okay, up next on our Eureka tour of California, we learn a bit about our state motto and answer the trivia question. Plus, a town that has changed very little over the past century or so, and it's Eureka Street.
We have a very wonderful community here.
You're watching the Your California show, Eureka Edition, and we're back in a moment.
And welcome back to the Your California show, where this week's compass word is the word Eureka, prominently on display here in Sacramento at the State Capitol Museum. In fact, there are many examples of the state seal, which was first adopted in 1849, a full year before California became an official state.
Gold fever was sweeping around the world at the time as news that John Sutter had found a major gold deposit in the Sierra foothills. Many believe the word Eureka was chosen as the state motto in reference to Sutter's discovery, only 1 year earlier in 1848. Now that brings us to the question we asked earlier in the show regarding an attempt to replace the word Eureka with which of the following: In God We Trust, the English translation I Found It, or Un Futuro Dorado, a golden future in Spanish. Well, the correct answer is A, because in 1957 there was a push to establish In God We Trust as the state motto. That did fail, and Eureka was made the official state motto in 1963.
Okay, from the word Eureka here, we head to Sutter Creek. It's about 45 miles, mostly on Highway 16, and it is named for John Sutter. However, that is not where he found gold.
It's mostly a tourist town now, but back during the gold rush, it's where Sutter set up camp following his discovery in Coloma. A Eureka Street has existed in the heart of this town since its early days and is now home to the Eureka Street Inn, homemade breakfast delivered by owners Sandy and Chuck Anderson for their guests, many of whom are visiting to experience Amador County's growing wine region.
That's become very big. As a matter of fact, I would estimate that probably 75% of our guests here at the inn come here for the wine tasting.
Our wineries are very much like Napa Sonoma was 35 years ago. You're very likely to meet the owner. You don't get charged. And on top of that, the quality of the wine has really come into its own.
And some of the tourists come simply to see a modern-day, time-stamped version of a Gold Rush-era California city.
Sutter Creek is very protected by ordinance, the downtown historic Sutter Creek. And so it's changed very, very little in the last century. So you have something that is authentic, not Disneyland. And on top of that, we have a very wonderful community here.
The summer months tend to be the busy season, and book early if you plan to visit during June's popular Barbera Wine Festival in nearby Plymouth. The Eureka Street Inn, our final Eureka Compass destination for this week's show.
And we wind up exactly where we started, in Death Valley National Park at the Eureka Sand Dunes. Hey, thank you to the National Park Service for letting us set our show here today, as well as the San Francisco Maritime National Historic Park and the state of California for letting us do our bit on the state motto. And for everyone else who helped out with the Eureka edition of the Your California Show, I'm Randol White reminding you, get out there, eat, drink, and explore. This is Your California.